the president of Serbia and the president and the prime minister of Germany did not have a very friendly visit recently. And it's indicative of the fact that there are many Baltic states that are not so down with NATO's plan and, in fact, are not willing to put sanctions on Russia the way the West wants. Now, Serbia is an interesting place because it has applied for European Union membership, but is also very dependent on Russian oil, Russian business, Russian energy, and also is very supportive of Russia's moves inside of Ukraine. And so when German Chancellor Olaf Scholz visited Serbia this week, he indicated that he expects, as an EU applicant, that Serbia will fall in line with sanctions that the West wants. And the Serbian president says, I don't think that we're prepared to do that. And also, I don't think you get to tell me in those words. It's a paraphrase.
So here's the Politico headline. I mean, this is amazing. So Serbian leaders clash over Kosovo, Russian sanctions. And in the piece, Scholz, who had come to Serbia's capital, Belgrade, during a 2-day tour across the Western Balkans, Greece, and Bulgaria, told the audience that Serbia, as an EU membership candidate, must apply sanctions to the Russian bloc, the same that the bloc has imposed against Russia over its war in Ukraine.
It is our expectation, he said. He expects these things to happen.
It's like you want membership into the EU, you better do these sanctions.
Right. When he was asked about this, President Vučić recently, he said, this is not something, whether he supports Russia or he really wants into the European Union, what is his plan? He said, this is not something you boil down to a media comment, right? This is nuanced. I have a lot to think about. It's not just that easy, but it does seem that Serbia continues to align itself with Russia, and the Serbian economy is good, and the Serbian people actually support the Russian army. We were there recently, and we're surprised that a lot of the kiosks in the city center, and we were there just in May, have T-shirts with Vladimir Putin on, or Zs for the Russian army.
And we've heard from so many Serbians since our visit there that said, look, it's not just it's not just like the little stores. There's a long history. The way that we view NATO, the way that we view Western hegemony, the way that we view NATO power. We remember 1999. We know what lies got us attacked in 1999. We know what our country went through in 1999 when we were attacked by NATO in 78 days of darkness. They understand. And so the EU is going to come in and tell Serbia, here's what you need to do. The reason that Serbia has signed this gas deal with Vladimir Putin with Russia about 2 weeks ago was for the Serbian people. I mean, wouldn't it be refreshing for a president of a particular country to actually do something that actually helps its own people, right? I'm just thinking about the United States. Joe Biden, if you're watching, this is an example of what maybe leadership actually looks like, right? You actually say, you know what, we're not going to shovel $53 billion into Ukraine to support quote unquote democracy when our democracy in the United States is not a democracy at all.
Well, I think, we have this America First ethos, right, that Trump ran on, that so many people feel very closely aligned with. I don't know if that is, but what the president of Serbia is doing is exactly that. He's doing Serbia first.
So you don't think, let me just unpack that a little bit. Like this idea that America has awful health care, has an education system that's failing, has roads and bridges that can't even pay. As Rand Paul pointed out, we've sent $40 billion to Ukraine. We can't even fix our roads and bridges.
Oh my God! You want to talk about infrastructure? So your water piping in your local town is most likely killing you and will fail in short order. There was money for that in Build Back Better, but where the heck is that?
Where the heck is that? So yeah, I am all for taking care of your people. Remember, that's all politics, all business really should be local. The way, if you think about when they always say politics is local, if you have a city council person who fixes, it all comes down to that, fixes potholes. That's what people see. They see that their park looks like shit. They see that there are potholes every morning when they try to drive to work. They're popping their tire, They see that their schools are not doing well. They see that their drinking water is not good. So if you have local politicians who take care of their people and provide for them, wow, it's a remarkable idea. And this is exactly what, nobody's perfect. No president is perfect, right? But what Serbia has done when President Vučić of Serbia is signing this gas deal with Russia to take care of his own people, thinking ahead to the winter when it's going to be freaking cold.
But also, beyond the just making decisions that are good for his people, right? He also says, we don't align with this NATO goal, right? So he literally said, what is the difference if someone attacks Serbia without a decision of the United Nations Security Council, or if someone undertakes aggression against Ukraine without a decision of the United Nations Security Council? Please just explain to me the difference. So he's saying, hey, we had this happen to us not long ago. NATO is not necessarily our bestie, right? We don't think that NATO is the solution to everybody. This is a remarkable statement. Even though NATO did attack. So, this Politico article, it says that it called this like, oh, this is remarkable because even though NATO did attack in 1999 Serbia without a UN Security Council resolution, Russia and China had imposed their vetoes. It did so to protect Albanians in Kosovo amid fears of a potential genocide. This is what Politico says, which is very different from Russia's war of conquest against Ukraine. That last part, right, is their derision of that, right? That's not necessarily true. That's what we debate all the time on this show. So they're saying, well, Serbia had to be attacked, but Ukraine, different story. So let's not even discuss, right? And so, and a lot of the people that we talked to when we were in Serbia said, well, we don't think that's a foregone conclusion. We never had our day to actually work this out, to say what happened to us. The world didn't care as much.
Can we also just say the sanctions aren't working? So what you're asking Serbia to do is to hurt its own people for something that is demonstrably not working. It is failing. In fact, what it's doing is the exact opposite of its intention, which is it's hurting Western powers. It's hurting the European Union. It's hurting Africa. It's hurting Sri Lanka. It's hurting the United States. It's hurting Western powers, African powers, Middle Eastern countries. I mean, this is what's happening. In fact, in some way, it's even hurting Afghanistan, right? It's hurting Afghanistan because we've stolen their money, frozen their bank assets, and people are starving in Afghanistan, and we can't funnel money to them or take care of those people. We can't even take in additional refugees because we're taking in Ukrainian refugees. So all of this is tied together. It has failed, right? The sanctions have failed. So we're asking Serbia.
Well, that's what Olaf Scholz is, pounding the pavement about right now, is going into Baltic regions and saying, will you please get on board with our sanctions? We really want this. And that's surprising because it didn't seem right out of the gate that this is what European nations wanted. But now that they're campaigning, it's like they've crossed the Rubicon. They can't go back. They have to say they want it, even if it hurts their home nations.
Well, our thoughts are with the people of Serbia, because wonderful people. Thank you so much for subscribing to our channel. We've been banned, we've been blocked, we've been censored. That's why we started our own website, to stay connected with you for free.
That's right. So head on over to redacted.inc and make sure you're connected with us. You can sign up again at redacted.inc, not .com.